So today's video is going to be about characters carrying players. Of course, it's a very popular conversation in Smash Ultimate especially, is, oh, you're so carried, I'm not carried, blah, 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 blah. And I want to talk about the characters that carry the most and the characters that carry the least. So I'm going to go really quickly to my game, and you'll see that this is the list of the characters that carry every person. Because every character carries at some level. Every character forces you to play the game in a specific way, and you learn the game through their lens. Every single character is carried, or every single player is carried. You can say, oh, but ESAM, I don't agree. What about the bad characters? You, as a Ganondorf player, who's generally considered the worst in the game, have to win neutral 3 times a stock because you kill at 60. So you're carried by the fact that you don't actually have to win neutral that often. Little Mac, yeah, he's bad because his recovery sucks. But at the same time, if you're winning because all of your ground normals have armor or super armor or trample and just go through stuff, and then you don't have to worry about it. And then he kills Matt early, and he has good like shield break setups. Who's the other worst character? Dr. Mario. You're carried because you have an approaching projectile like Pikachu and Mario do, and you kill at 40 at the ledge because down throw down B's a thing. Every single character carries you at some level, and I want to talk about basically why this conversation is stupid in my opinion and the point of it all. So basically, people just like to say, oh, you're carried, you're this, you're that, as a way to, sometimes it's joking, like when top players generally say that, they're joking around with each other, depending on if they're not talking about Steve players or Pyramithra players. They're mostly joking. Because like we're all generally friendly. It's like, oh my god, you're so carried, I should have won. Like they're trying to be like, oh, like you only won, like I'm better than you. It's like trash talk, right? But the thing is, that type of culture has kind of permeated through everywhere at every level, because then it just becomes people not joking around with each other, calling people carried, and then basically diminishing the skill and the ability for other people playing the game when they're the one that lost. Like, if I lose and I call someone carried, unironically, I'm literally saying, no, I should have won, I deserve to win, I'm better than you. Which, generally, isn't the case, because you lost. Whether it's for their character is better than yours, you picked wrong at the character select screen, it's a bad matchup, you haven't put in the time, or sometimes they got lucky, or you messed up. Like, if I mess up and I think I'm better than someone when I lose, which, for the most part, when I lose, I'm like, oh, I messed up and I could have done things better. But that's an internal thing of like, I'm making sure that, like, and a lot of top players do this too. It's like, oh, I need to know what I can improve on. I didn't know the matchup well enough. I got flustered, blah, 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 blah. And you can kind of, you know, work on what you need to work on, because then you know that you need to work on certain things because you messed it up in tournament. But if it generally comes to, oh, I lost because the other person is more carried, then they're just being stubborn and not wanting to accept their loss because they're like, oh, I'm better than them, therefore I should have won. That means their character must be like better than mine, or they're carried because like I'm so much more skillful than them. And that's not exactly the case. Like generally, like, yeah, you can lose to worse people than you because you weren't ready. They knew the matchup better. You were playing bad that day. Consistency's hard. But generally, if you are going to say, oh, this person's carried, it's just an insult, which it's not helpful. Because again, every single character carries. You, as a Yoshi player, don't need to know what true combo, or don't need to know what most fake combos are, because there's a lot of 1 and 2 frame off combos that work anyway because they don't have a frame 1 option. Yoshi says double jump. You know, Pokemon Trainer says swap. Snake says grenade. So they're carried by the fact that they don't get comboed nearly as hard as most of the cast. Characters that have swords don't need to know what it's like to edgeguard someone with their face because they have disjoint. They don't know what it's like to fight a spamming, like a brawler type character, not like me brawler, but like a close quarter combat character really up close, because they have the ability to swap them out. So they're carried by their disjoint. They can throw out moves completely safely for the most part. Characters with really good out of shield options don't know what shield pressure's like. I'm carried by this in my disadvantage state, because I go, oh, someone hit my shield and it's not like one of the best, safest moves in the game. You got hit. Game & Watch players are carried by their up B, because they just up B out of shield literally anything that touches their shield, and if they're wrong, it honestly doesn't even matter. Same with my air and back air. Like, for the most part, I can just add a shield every single thing that hits my shield, and I hit people and I combo them and I kill them sometimes because they hit my shield, which is a crazy, that's insane. And a lot of characters can't do that, which is why I struggle to play a lot of characters that don't have good added shield options, because I'm not used to actually having to hold shield pressure. And that was a huge problem when I tried to pick up like Palu and Joker, because I would not know what to do when someone would hit my shield. I was like, oh, I have to do something, because my brain is wired to, they hit my shield, do something, and it just wouldn't work. Or I would start rolling and spot dodging and jumping and people would start hitting me for that. Of course, better characters have more things that are really good about them, hence why they are better characters, but at the same time, calling someone carried for picking a top tier is stupid, because you know what? You have the ability to pick up that top tier. You can play the same character that they do. If you think they are so easy, do it. It's fun to win. If you think that you're only gonna win because of their character, it's fun. People are like, Pyramithra is so boring. Have you played Pyramithra? They're so fun. They're fast. They can do whatever they want all the time. There's just a win button against most characters as Mithra, and then you just kill them at 50 with Pyra. It's great. It's wonderful. Playing Pikachu, granted he's pretty difficult, is like, oh my god, I hit someone at 0 with a back air, and they died. I got a free approach because of Thunder Jolt into back air, and they died at 0. Like, when I play characters like Piranha Plant, I'm like, how do people play this character? Because it's just like, they have so few tools that are amazing. Granted, Patootie is good. The edge trapping for Plant is good, even though I think it's overrated. But so there's a lot to do with every character, but there's more to do as top tiers. And that doesn't make you carried, that just makes you smart for picking up a top tier. It is the OG. If you are playing a competitive game and you want to win, if you're playing for fun, you got it. You're playing your favorite character, great, happy for you. But like, if you're trying to be the best or improve a lot, then pick a top tier. And the crazy thing is, like, people are like, oh, but I don't want to pick a top tier. There's only like 5 of them. But the thing is, in some games that's true. In some games, the top tier and the super relevant meta is very small. Like in Brawl, it was realistically like 7 or 8 characters, because it was like Meta Knight, Ice Climbers, Falco, Pika, Diddy, Marth, okay, Wario, Snake, Day-to-Day, Zero Suit. I'm probably missing one, but that's about it. That's generally about it, right? There's like 10 characters in Brawl. There's like 50 characters you can pick in this game that literally have tournament results. Because in this game, you have, I'm just gonna ramble off a list because I'm looking at the character list screen. You have Mario, you have Samus, you have Yoshi, you have Fox, you have Pika, you have Luigi, you have Ness, you have Falcon, you have Puff, you have Peach, you have Game & Watch, Roy and Chrom. You have Mewtwo, you have Young Link, you have Lucina, you have, I forgot my count, you have Falco, you have Pichu, you have Sheik, you have Bowser, you have Ice Climbers, which I think are a bad character, but they've like won majors. You have Zero Suit, you have Wario, you have Snake, Ike, Pokemon Trainer, Diddy Kong, Sonic, Olimar, Shulk, Robin, Palutena, Pac-Man, Greninja, Rosalina, Wii Fit, he's even done well at majors. Mega Man's done incredibly well. Kamame's beat Leo. You have Wolf, Rob, Toon Link does really well in Japan. You have both of the Shotos, you have Cloud, you have Corrin. Well, Corrin doesn't really have a lot of results, but Shattuck's got a godlike. So you have Corrin, you have Bayo at some level, you have Inkling, you have Ridley because Gluttony lost to Mezcal the other week. You have Incineroar, look at Skyjay. You have Joker, of course, like all the DLC basically, except for like Plant and Banjo have like good results. Because I don't know how good Raito's doing, but like then you have, of course, Byleth and Min Min and Steven, Sephiroth and Pyramithra and Kazuya and Sora and the Mii's. That was a lot of characters. You can play almost every character in this game that has good tournament results because this game is incredibly balanced. So the fact that people, I feel like now, I mean, granted, it's probably just because it's bigger. So people are like, oh, well, people are carried because like, it's just like online culture to just say like, I'm better than this person, f you. But like, it's one of those things to me that's just like, you can play so many characters in this game. You can play literally almost every character in this game and have a good shot to do well at a major. Again, MK Leo is playing Byleth, who before he picked up Byleth offline, because he played him online and everyone still thought he was mediocre, everyone was like, this character, mid-tier. And then he won every major he went to, every open major he went to, except for Glitch, because my matchup is 7-3 against that character, because that's how it works sometimes. But he beats literally everyone else in the world. He goes Pyramithra against like 3 matchups, which is Min Min, Sonic, and then he'll go a different character versus me probably now, and that's it. He goes Byleth versus every other character, every other top tier, every other established meta broken character. And he says, you know what? GG's, I won. That's ridiculous. And you can do that. You just have to get good. And getting good is really hard. But if you believe in your character and you stick with your character, you can do well. Because again, in my opinion, that's why like when I make tier lists, right? I'm like, yo, There's 29 top tiers, and people go, that's crazy. I'm like, I'm not wrong though, because you know who I think is like 25th? Young Link. People would generally consider Young Link, oh man, he might be top 10. So is Samus, especially nowadays when people finally realize that Samus is broken. There are so many broken characters. I think Zero Suit is like 25th, and Zero Suit's clearly really good. Mars does really well, and the Japanese Zero Suits do really well. That's like 25 characters, because there's just a ton of good characters in this game. That's just kind of how it works. So the fact that there are 25 top tiers, like absolutely, like you can definitely just play them in tournament all the time, and then 25 or 30 more high tiers, that's more than half the cast, is super playable, which is why I stopped doing tier lists in top tier, high tier, blah, blah, blah. I do solo viable, super viable, and you need a secondary, or they are used as a secondary, and that's basically it. And then like the 4 unviable characters, but even then, like I think Ice Climbers is bottom 10, and they had someone in the PGR who played Ice Climbers, and Ice Climbers almost made it to Smash World Tour from Japan. Hadasen, right? And that's how to pronounce it. But like, that's just the way the game works. So that means if you think that your opponent is worse than you and you lost, you need to work on something. Sometimes it's online existing, you know, online sucks if you're playing online, but that either means you need to work on something or you played bad. So that means you gotta work on your consistency, work on your matchups, work on your combos, figure out what's going on, or pick up a secondary if you think the matchup really sucks. That is all within your realm of possibility. It's all on your control. So you can do all of that if you just want to win more, instead of just complaining about your opponent's character and delegitimizing their win. You know what? If Jake beat me, hitting me with 9 diamond forward smashes, you know what I would do? Damn, I need to figure out how to not let him get diamond. And that should be, like, that's what a lot of top players do. We go in the lab and we grind. I'm very scared for the next time I play Leo because I beat him 2 times in a row. That means he's probably working out something specific for me, because that's what you gotta do, because I'm one of the people that has been like challenging him. So he goes, oh, well, I'll figure out something for ESAM, because that's the top player competitive mindset. Because the one thing that you do as a player is carry all your characters, because while they have the tools to carry you, it doesn't matter. You as a player can always bring the strengths and the amazingness out of your character. We've seen it with Leo's Byleth, we've seen it with Tweak's Diddy Kong, we've seen it with any top players, anything, right? Like if no good player picked up Pyramithra and there were no results, people would think, oh, this character's just edge guardable, like they're fast, but like whatever. You know, people were like, yo, Sheik, mid tier, maybe high tier. Then Void started labbing everything and everyone went, oh, well, Sheik's pretty good. And then suddenly people think Sheik is top 5, which I think is insane, but you know, whatever. The people are allowed to have their opinions, I'm allowed to have mine. That's fine. But it's silly. It's silly, in my opinion, to be like, my opponent is carried by this character. It's like, okay, why don't you get carried by your character? You do. Everyone does. There are certain matchups that are probably unwinnable. I don't know how as a Ganon player you beat a Sonic, but that's your fault for playing Ganon against the Sonic. Whose fault is that? That's your choice. You have as many resources and as many opportunities as another person to pick up a character. I don't want to play a character that's not top tier. Hence why I don't. And that's why also when I pick up characters, I lab the hell out of them. I labbed Steve before I even knew I was gonna pick him up for hours and hours and hours. I have been labbing Mii Brawler consistently. I played Pyramithra and I learned back air combo before I even brought her onto Elite Smash, because I wanted to know what I could do with the character. So yeah, we're all carried. But at the same time, we carry our characters. And it's been a huge debate. Of course, like I have been one of the best Pikachus, if not the best Pikachu, since 2010. So I've been this. People are like, oh, Pikachu's not that good, you're just really good. But at the same time, you can only be as good as your character, and your character is only as good as you are using them. And that's gonna be about it for this one. Thank you all for joining. As always, social media, Panda and Partner stuff is down below. Let me know what other topics you want me to talk about, and I will see you all next time.
Pikachu, busted.